Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Stereo Review X. What this channel is about is me giving you the benefit of what I've learned 40 years of meddling, changing, buying numerous amplifiers, numerous speakers, comparing and contrasting, and generally trying to find the best sound. Yeah, that's what I'm all about. It's 98% sound. Occasionally I am a little seduced by good looks, but most of the time it's the sound I'm interested in. And you know, sometimes, and also, you know, it's about price. Sometimes there are things that are not expensive that are good, old things that are good, new things that are really not good at all. There's been a whole load of, you know, stuff for decades, I would say, that really didn't sound good. But we'll get into that, you know, and you can check it all out on my other videos. But today we're going to look at this from the heyday of hi-fi. I don't know exactly what year this is. I'm going to say 72, 73. This is a Marantz, yeah. It's a humdinger. It looks fantastic. It's got more features than it needs to have. And this isn't even an extravagant one, yeah. There are more extravagant Marantz things, you know. In a way, when you look at them, you think like, they're just looking for any excuse to put a button in. But you know, it's fun and it looks good. And it sounds pretty good, yeah. And we're going to get into that sound thing soon. But what I'm going to do now is just move the camera, give you a close-up, and we're going to go through all the features. It's got some unique features. Really some features that you won't get on any other amp, so I don't think, or receiver. So hang on a second. So we're going to zoom in here now, give you a closer look at this thing. So it's 2238BL. The 38 equals 38 watts, yeah, that's how many watts it's got, 38. And that's a, you know, that's a beefy 38 watts. In the modern day, they say something is 40 watts, say, or say they say it's 80 watts. They measure watts differently than they did in the old days, yeah. This 38 watts will equal a modern 60 watts. No problem, yeah, no problem about that. They just started cheating with measuring. I don't know what they did, but today watts are just do not equal what they did in the early 70s. By the 80s they started you know, getting clever with statistics. So okay, let's have a look what we've got here. Now, okay, it's fairly normal stuff. FM muting, low filter. If you don't know, you know, that's just going to cut out the really low bass, which is useful. People would use that particularly with turntables that have rumble, yeah. If you put on a turntable, particularly not a brilliant turntable, and you watch the cone, sometimes that cone will literally be going like this in a super low frequency, and you know, which is not a healthy thing for it to be doing. So this low filter will cut that out, or it's just cutting out low filter sounds, you know. Let's say, you know, you don't want to know the neighbours quite so much. Okay, tape monitor, mono, we all know what that is. High filter, you know, just cutting out high frequencies. Frankly, I can't imagine where you'd want to use a high filter, filtering out the high sounds. Loudness, 2 pairs of speakers, and it's really lovely heavyweight, what do they call it, gyro touch tuning. This does light up, but I've actually only 2 of the bulbs are working, and I've got all these bright lights on, so you won't see much. And then now this is the interesting thing, which you won't hardly find anywhere else. So we have bass, mid, treble, yeah. And if you look closely here, you can see it's got a separation for the right and the left. So I can, yeah, I can alter the treble on the right, or the mid-range, or the bass. and you know, that is something I've rarely used, but you can use that. Sometimes it would be useful if, say for instance, you have a speaker that is in a corner. Hang on, let me just move this camera back and I'll talk to you about that. 1 second. Okay, just putting this back here. So yeah, so the idea of having to be able to control the bass for the left and the right. So say for instance you had one speaker was in the corner and one speaker wasn't in a corner, yeah? Now a speaker in the corner, the sound which will be reverberating out the back of that speaker, which all speakers will do to a certain extent, that will bounce straight back from that corner. That corner is like a reflector. So when you have a speaker in the corner, you basically get more bass. So you might have, you know, so if you've got one in the corner, you might want to lower the bass on that, and you can kind of equal, you kind of equal it out. You know, and the same might go for your other frequencies depending on, you know, what the setup is. But I'll be frank, I think I've only used that that feature a couple of times ever. Most of the times I've just got everything on flat like most people, in the middle, and of course I'm not using loudness. So, you know, it's a nice feature to have. It's a feature you won't see on hardly anything, but you know, it's rarely used, but you know, you might have use for it. So you know, this is what Marantz did really. They did all kinds of things. They had oscilloscopes for tuning their tuner in. They had Dolby on things. You hardly ever need Dolby, you know, unless you're getting a terrible signal or something, you know. But they just like crammed it full of features, and they look fantastic. And then I'll tell you what it sounds like too, because it's kind of an interesting sound. Okay, so what will I say? Okay, let's do the sound now. Well, I've just been listening to this, comparing it on some really nice Grado headphones. They're like 150 quid. And comparing it to a naim power amp with a Rotel preamp, and to an old Sansui AU101 I also listened to on headphones, and I also listened to a Sansui Deluxe 8 on headphones, and I did the same songs round and round between this amp and those amps. So that's quite an interesting thing to do, and you land up understanding what are the sound characteristics of this amp. You literally listen to the same song and then the other amp, same song, same volume. You can really start figuring out what's going on. So what would I say about this sound? The sound of this Marantz. It's big, it's beefy, yeah? It's got a lot of, the term used to be called muscular, yeah? It's got quite a lot of sort of grip and impact in the bass. In the mid-range, it's kind of spacious, if not extra spacious or too spacious, which is an interesting point. And the treble's pretty nice too. Ultimately, this is what happens when you turn this amp on, yeah, and you say you're comparing it to another amp. When you turn this amp on, initially you'll go, oh, I can hear some things here which I've never heard before. Now, they may do this on purpose, because there was a real battle on in the early 70s, because everyone was demonstrating equipment, yeah? But I don't know that they were doing this on purpose, but if you listen to this amp, you will suddenly hear things you didn't hear before. And they will be in the mid-range, yeah? That will be mid-range stuff. But when you hear something you've never heard before, you just kind of think, oh, this is better. This has got to be really good. I've never heard that sound before. I'm getting more detail. The thing is, I would say they're kind of doing a bit of a boost in the mid-range and making the mid-range a bit more spacious, a bit more ambience actually in the mid-range. And you know, that can be nice, you know. Now we get into the area of what sounds you like, yeah? So that's one aspect of the sound. Now, let's just talk about the bass a minute, because that's actually, you know, this is actually where this doesn't do so good. Particularly, so I'm comparing it with, you know, modern amps and old amps. They really kind of outperformed this in bass, not for impact, not for volume, not even for the fact that the bass was there, but this is a little bit one note, yeah? If you understand what I'm saying, the bass, the bass, you know, the bass guitar, it sounds like boom boom boom, not boom boom boom. Yeah, it's just boom boom boom. It's articulating the bass, and it's, you know, it's getting hold of it and it's delivering it, but it's just not getting, it's not getting the notes so good, yeah? So when you listen to a nice, say a female vocal with a, you know, say a, you know, what do you call it, you know, an upright bass guitar, this will kind of let things down a bit. You will feel that bass, but you will not get the glory of that bass moving around, yeah? It kind of misses that. It's a bit like a bit of a one note, turns the bass into the same note, but you know, it's still big, and it's a broad, you know, because of this spaciousness in the middle, it makes things, you can separate a lot of instruments actually. Some songs I listen to, I was going, oh, this sounds really nice, because I can hear all those things that before were a little bit lost or quieter. This will really